Hi, I'm Anna.
I'm Ben.
We're AutoSave. Welcome to our channel.
Today we're watching Frieren Beyond Journey's End, Season 1, Episode 27. Last episode was one of the best episodes of the entire series. I foolishly thought before then that we had defeated the clone of Frieren.
Mm-hmm. That Fern's shot had really done it, had completed the task. We were going to move on to the Spiegel.
I've never been happier to be wrong. It was so amazing. I loved it so much, and now we are on to, I guess, the third stage of the exam, if there is one. We've completed the second. We have a lot of people, more than I thought there would be at this point.
Right. I'm thinking that this is definitely the tail end of this season, most definitely by like the amount of episodes. I would be shocked if we went much further. But I feel like right now is going to be a time period of rest and hearing about what that next test will be.
Yeah. If anybody's watching this far into the intro, I had a question. If Frieren or Fern were not a part of the second stage, but Denkin still was, as well as everybody else, do you think that the amount of people who passed would be the same, minus Frieren and Fern, or would it be drastically less?
Drastically less, if not just like no one passed.
I don't know. Denkin's a team player. Let us know, though. All right, you ready?
Mm-hmm.
Sweet. I'm glad the training's going well, Stark.
Maybe she was hoping that you were already going to be back in the rooms, you know, ready to be like, congrats, you passed.
That or I need a new staff. Mine broke. I'm upset about it.
Oh, okay. Let's go on a shopping trip.
Yeah. See, okay, my light prediction for the episode, Fern needs a new staff. They go all around, can't find anything. Stark disappears from the party. Frieren and Fern are going looking for the perfect staff. Can't find anything. Return to the room. Stark has put it back together with super glue. That's my guess for the episode. Sweet. Denkin's such a cool character, man.
I really want him to completely pass because of what he wants to be able to do, going to the grave.
Yeah. Even if he doesn't, I hope that we accompany him. An era of humans. Oh.
The sentimentality of the object. Lavina?
いつもみたいにバカにしてほしいの？じゃあラビーネちゃん、なでなでしてあげよっか？早くしよう。こりゃ重傷だね。
It's that bad.
Are those the pieces of the staff in the bag? I wouldn't be surprised.
何その袋？
おい。
Richter! You're like family now.
Great shot.
Denkin, お前みたいな老いぼれに3年後はないかもしれないからな。確かにの。言い返せ。なのにわしはお前に何の剣をも抱いていない。きっと昔、わしがそういう生意気な若造だったからだ。そんなわしが今は宮廷魔法使いの地位にいる。何が言いたい？そう悲観するなということだ。年後のお前は今よりずっと強くなっている。
Denkin's so fucking cool, man.
Wait, so we just piled things on his desk.
おいぼれが
What did he pile there?
結局何も買ってかないのかよ。
It's a message.
That's what I was thinking. Can he do something about the
今
staff?
日は薬日か何かなのか。見せてみろ。
Oh man.
Yeah, it's bad.
バラバラの物体はなんだ。まさか杖なのか。こんなゴミをよこされても困る。
ゴミじゃないよ。多分。
Probably.
Aw. She's trying.
Mhm.
俺にだって仕事を選ぶ権利はある。この杖は諦めろ。
できないならいいや。
She can't do it.
フリーレン。お前本当に勘に触るやつだ。俺がいつできないとまで言った。
He just said he gets to choose
Whoa. This is so cool.
which. That is really cool.
Like the little green line.
三次試験には間に合わせたいから。
無茶を言いやがって。
He's being so careful with it, it seems. Is it already done?
I'm sorry for calling it trash.
手入れの行き届いたいい杖だ。さぞかし大事にする。
Oh.
Taking really good care of it.
フリーレン様は私のことをまるで分かっていません。
そんなの俺だってわかんない。
やめてよ。俺に当たらないで。
だからさ、分かろうとするのが大事。
Tries.
What a great line.
フリーレンは頑張っていると思うぜ。
ああ、お前。
You're Frieren's kid.
弟子か。ま、どっちでもいいが、二次試験が終わったばかりだっていうのに、今日はお前の師匠のおかげで散々だった。いっそのこと慎重してくれた方がこっちも儲かるってのにな。大事にしろよ。
I feel emotional.
私の杖。
フリーレンは感情や感性に乏しい。それが原因で困難や行き違いが起こることもあるでしょう。その分だけきっとフリーレンはあなたのために思い悩んでくれる。彼女以上の死はなかなかいませんよ。
Gonna tuck her in again. Wow.
何？いえ、やっぱり何でもありません。そう。
Okay.
Wait, it now begins?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
なぜ私がここまで出向いたか理由はわかるか？全然都合が悪い時はいつもそうだな。
What's the trouble?
第二次試験の合格者は
That.
Oh, okay. Too many people passed.
She's gonna see Frieren and be like, makes sense.
協力型の試験は大いに結構だ。今の一級魔法使いには協調性がないからな。
面目ありません。
だがその中にあってはならないほどの実力を持った者がいた。おかげで実力に見合わない者まで大勢合格した。
ゼリエ様。
謝る必要はない。
It's all Frieren's fault.
異例には異例を。
An anomaly
Calls for-
calls for an. Oh shit!
Excuse me.
平和的に選別してやる。
それに私はフリーレン様を試すような器ではありません。一目見てわかりました。彼女は魔力を制限しています。絶大な魔力です。
Equal to
ゼイレイ
yours.
様に匹敵する。
Wow.
いえ、何の話だか。
When they were looking about the room, they didn't notice her.
直接見ました。とても実用的な技術とは思えません。
その実用的でない技術にフリーレンは生涯を捧げた。魔族を欺くために。
In order to deceive demons.
魔族は私たち人類よりもはるかに魔力に敏感だ。生まれ持った才覚でもなければ100年や200年制限したものだ。欺けるものじゃない。
Century or
時
two.
間の無駄だ。時間を別の鍛錬に使えば何倍も強くなれる。 非効率極まりない。
Inefficient.
だがその非効率が相手の隙を生み出すこともある。相手の魔力を見誤るというのは死に直結しかねない。現にフリーレンは年の割には技術の甘い魔法使いだが、そうやって魔族を打ち倒してきた。私の知る限り、それをたった一目で見破ったのは魔王だけだ。
Ah.
今この瞬間まではな。レルネ、お前が最初の一級魔法使いになってから半世紀が過ぎた。お前は臆病な坊やのま
Same
まだな。
timid boy.
His name's
それ
Lernan?
だけに残念でならん。
That's my only
これだけ
disappointment.
の境地に立っておきながら、追い先はもう短い。
Sensei putting on the... Oh my god.
フリーレンと戦うことはこの先一生ないだろう。それがたとえ勝てる戦いであ
Even
る。
if it's a battle, you could win.
やはり人間の弟子は取るものではない。
Wow.
本当に残念だ。
Wow.
結局あの子にも見えなかったか。
Oh
私の
god.
能力の揺らぎが。
第三次試験の内容は
Oh
The
god.
fact that he said it was equal to Ceres?
準備できたい
Is that what she means?
私とフェルンを受からせる気はないね。多分直感で合格者を選ぶつもりだろうね。でもゼーリエの直感はいつも正しい。現に私は未だにゼーリエが望むほどの魔法使いにはなれていない。
What's gonna be her interpretation of Fern?
Ooh.
That's what I'm most excited about. Because we haven't had the Sari knowing that Frieren has a student,
Mhm.
right?
And that it's a
It should be
human mage.
unbiased, yeah.
Sorry, Kane. I don't think you're passing this. I think you're gonna have to retake with Lavine.
Nah, Kane's got this.
不合格だ。
Oh, fuck.
理由を聞いてもいい？
一級魔法使いになった自分の姿が
She's either gonna love Ubel or fucking hate Ubel.
イメージできないものは実現できない。基礎の基礎だ。帰れ。不合格。不合格。
Oh my god.
不合格だ。フリーレン。お前も一級魔法使いになった自分の姿をイメージできていないな。
Because it doesn't really mean anything to her.
他の受験者とは異なる。
Yeah!
お前は私が合格を出すとは微塵も思っていない。
事実でしょ。
一度だけチャンスをやる。好きな魔法を言ってみろ。
花畑を出す魔法。
フランメから教わった魔法。
Mm-hmm.
And that was her favorite spell.
実にくだらない。不合格だ。
そう。
Uh-huh.
お前のような魔法使いが魔王を倒したとは到底信じられん。
私一人の力じゃないよ。ヒンメル、アイゼン、ハイター、私。一人でも欠けていたら倒せなかった。
仲間に恵まれたか。運が良かったな。
そうだよ。運が良かった。ねえ、ヒンメル。どうして私を
God, that I was lucky meant so much in so many different
強い
ways.
魔法使いを探していたからね。君がいいと思ったんだ。
なんで？
フリーレン、君は覚えていないだろう。
What?
昔僕は一度だけ君と会ったことがある。子供の頃、森に薬草を取りに入った時、道に迷った。長い間、夜の森をさまよって人生で初めて孤独を味わった。もう二度と村に帰れないかと思ったよ。その時、一人のエルフが人里の方向を教えてくれた。本当に方向を教えるだけで励ましの言葉一つ口にしなかった。
Not a word of
子供
encouragement.
心になんて冷たい人だと思ったよ。君は僕に花畑を出す魔法を見せてくれた。綺麗だと思ったんだ。生まれて初めて魔法が綺麗だと思った。
きっとこれはただの偶然に過ぎないことだけれども、ヒンメルたちと出会わせてくれたのは先生が教えてくれたくだらない魔法だよ。それからゼーリエ、フェルンも同じように不合格にするつもりだろうけれども、多分それはできないよ。あの子はゼーリエの想像を超える人間の時代がやってきたんだ。
The era of humans.
何が想像を超えるだ。私の魔力を見て立ちすくんでいる。
Yeah, no.
他の受験者と何ら変わらん。
Can she tell?
待て、
She can tell.
何が見えている？
Yeah, she fucking can.
揺らいでいる。
フェルンとか言ったな。お前、
Be my student!
No! Don't take her away! No!
悪いようにはしない。未だかつて魔法使いにたどり着いたことのないほどの高みへ。
それは合否と関係があるのですか？
The right
あ
question.
るかもしれない。
私がゼーリエに何を言っても不合格になるように、フェルンは何を
She
言
will
っても
pass
You
you
no
no
matter
matter
what
what
you
you
say.
say.
だってゼーリエの直感はいつも正しいから。私はフリーレン様の弟子です。
私は有望な魔法使いを見逃すほどバカじゃない。合格だ。
Is Fern the only one that passed?
次。
I wanted to see Denkin. She said next, so that means not everybody failed, you know?
Maybe. I mean, she could just be like, you failed to the next person.
Okay, that was Frieren Beyond Journey's End, Season 1, Episode 27. Yo, Sari's mana has got to be unquantifiable visually on a TV. Like, I think if they showed me just a zoom out and it's like an Earth-like planet, I still think the entire TV, including space, would just be that opaque white.
Right. When she walks out of the room and she basically has a line that is about Lernan being disappointing to her, especially in regards to, like, what he's seeing.
Mm-hmm.
I think that she's probably referring to the fact that he equated her mana to what is equal to Frieren's, or what he would imagine would be equal. And I think that Sayri's is probably, like, bigger.
Oh, for
than
sure.
Frieren's. I mean, she's
like,
lived longer, too.
Yeah, definitely. Like, within the idea that it's like, okay, even fucking, like, Frieren's mana suppression is so good. Nobody else had a chance of being able to see that she was suppressing her mana, but Lernan, human student, was able to see that.
And that's great.
Yet, the bigger fucking test here is, even though we're all surrounded and enshrouded in the massive mana that is Sari, nah, fuck all of you guys. Even, like, her being like, oh, it's a waste of time. No, she, like, yeah, it's a waste of time, but also, I did it. I'm currently suppressing my mana, even though that the mana that you're seeing is me suppressing my mana.
Which is crazy because she displays it to be so big. We see it filling that entire room. And she even brings up, I think she brings up that Frieren would have had to take a century or two, literally working on this impractical skill.
How else would she know how long it would take?
Right, and then she brings up how Lernan has basically been a mage under her, a student of hers, for like a little under a century. And how the fact that, like, he might be that age, but he's disappointing with the fact that he's been with her this entire time, and he hasn't realized that this mana is fluctuating around him.
Yeah. Man.
And Fern realizes it, and then, of course, Sayri says, be my student after that.
I love this show so much. This is one of my favorite shows that I've ever seen in my entire life. And I'm sure that partly that's just because it is objectively such an amazing show, but it really resonates with me on so many levels. I feel like the through line of Frieren being like, okay, Fern, I know you can do it, like, I underestimate you, like, it's that same through line. They're not afraid to let two characters that might, or conventionally would be opposites, being Sari and Frieren, be similar in that aspect to promote the character of Fern and what Fern is truly like and how skilled and proficient Fern is.
I think that Frieren does a good job at using a few different words or ideas and having them come back into the narrative with different characters in mind to kind of help us understand and be able to, we're being introduced to a magic system and a world that is very unlike our own. And so I think having more repetitiveness in terms of how characters describe in very like easy to understand terms what the magic is like, what mana is like the words like visualization, intuition, imagination, underestimating, like all of these are terms that we can like completely try to start understanding, and the repetitive usage of these words by different characters or in reference to different situations in the show definitely helps heighten my understanding of dynamics, what's happening, how magic might feel to some people. And I definitely appreciate that. We had underestimating a lot in this episode. But I bring that up because intuition was Sayri's test. And we have not seen Ubel walk up to Sayri.
Yeah. God.
And Ubel, she passed the last test basically because of her intuition.
I feel like we have... And visualization, right?
And
and I feel like we have to be able to see their interaction. Like, there's no chance in hell that we don't get that next episode, because of it being set up so prominently last episode. I would like to think Ubel will pass. I would like to think Denkin can pass. That's where I don't know about Land. I imagine Land walks in, and the only reason Sayri says no to Land is that that's not the real Land. Or so, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah. Okay, but also my one point for Land of how he could possibly pass would be in the same boat of kind of why Fern piques Sayri's interest. Land is an observer in the same way that I think like Ubel is an observer, but Land is I send a copy in to get information from you while I sit back and watch you while you're interacting with me, and I'm in the safety of being able to fully watch the situation. That could lend him to being able to notice fluctuations instead of being he wouldn't be, if he sent a copy and the copy's not going to immediately be intimidated by Sayri. Sayri failed the first couple people because it seemed like they were like in awe and or intimidated by the mana.
Yeah.
And so I feel like Land's copy would just be like whatever, and Land would be able to like view this situation, and that could lead to a favorable possibility for him. But Ubel passing feels a lot more likely to me.
Sayri's such an interesting character. Like, obviously we got what the relationship between Flamme and Sayri was like. We got the interaction between Frieren and Sayri after Flamme's death. We get the current position that Sayri is obviously in, to the point where it kind of shocked me a bit to hear the implication of her having a student that was human. But it leads me to believe that in that same intuition, she felt like Flamme's premonition was inevitable.
Yeah.
And like that's something I love.
She also felt like it was the era of humans.
Yeah.
I mean, she even told Frieren it was, and she told Frieren that the person that's going to defeat you is going to be a human mage.
Yeah.
Either the Demon King or a human mage. Another check on Ubel possibly passing and becoming a student, if you will, of Sayri is how Sensei views Ubel. She views Ubel as incredibly strong and in almost like a prodigy, in the fact that she has a line that's something like her mind doesn't work normally. She calls what Ubel is and thinks like a superpower.
Yeah.
So I could see that even more so if one of the actual first class mages views this person. Ubel has killed a first class mage.
Yeah.
And has killed the copy of another first class mage who is very intimidated by her and views her as having a superpower. I think there's heavy potential for her.
I really want to know what's going to happen with Denkin. Like, I have no confident grasp on the character of Sayri yet, because she's so complex, I think, and she's so interesting and fascinating that I don't know if she will look for the the sheer like image as this episode of becoming a first class mage, or if it'd go a step further into like the reasoning for being a first class mage, you know?
So on that topic, I would want to compare Lernan and Denkin.
Yeah.
And Lernan is described by Sayuri. Both of them are probably around the same age. In both situations with both of those characters in this episode, they're being talked about as being at the end of their life, at the end of their human life. So they're in the same place and being like how we're talking about them. Lernan is described as a very timid boy. We know that Denkin was an imperial mage. An imperial mage needed to be cutthroat. That's what we heard, that they needed to be backstabby, cutthroat, really strong, really sure of themselves. Denkin isn't timid. I don't think that he would. I think that will help him possibly pass.
Yeah.
Not only his age and if there might be a pity aspect there, but also the fact that he's not going to be timid and he's going to stand there probably strongly in front of Sayuri.
I really love Denkin. I think that he is a very strong, capable, confident, and wise character. That's why I hope and think he'll pass. Man, it's so interesting. Like, I do think there's a chance that Ubel does pass. And with that, it sets Ubel and Fern to be, like, longtime associates, or at least, like, knowing of each other. You know what I mean? Yeah, I love that.
Super fun idea. I also wanted to talk about with Denkin and his, like, team. Obviously, they're not in teams anymore, but we just, like, associate them so fondly with their teams. And Richter is still upset about that. He's like, hey, we're not in a team anymore, leave me alone. But in terms of like that team in particular, I think that team in particular really gives you the sense of time passing and aging and how different people view the world.
Yeah.
When we were in that first class, the first battle, the first proctored exam, Denkin and Richter definitely were thinking at odds with each other. Laufin was very much like, I will do what Denkin tells me to do. Richter was a little more like stubborn, like this is the way that I think we should go about it. And Denkin was a little more like young people, you know? And it really is that they are like almost like a family tree, if you will. Like a person that could be probably a child to someone. Richter's described as middle-aged.
Yeah.
At one point, a few episodes ago, he could be more of like age-wise a father figure to Laufin, and then Denkin would be father figure age to him.
Yeah.
So I think that team up really gives us another like viewpoint or sense or just repetitiveness with the age differences, how we view young people, how we view old people, but like they're extra old people like elves. And I think it just really helps with that. And I think that's why that team up in particular feels so important, and probably why we get more of a look at them.
Yeah. I really loved Richter this episode, and I loved his interaction with Frieren in the first half of the episode upon seeing the staff and being like, I get to choose what I do and don't work on. And Frieren being the fucking smartass.
Oh, you can't do it?
Yeah. Like, Frieren knows exactly what he said and what he meant by saying it.
Yeah.
And yet, still is like, oh yeah, so you can't do it. Gotcha. Like, you're so fucking annoying, Frieren. I love it to death. And I love how much care that he took into putting it together. It was so amazing. And I also love that, like, I was wondering how it would play out the second that I saw Fern and Stark walking past Richter. Like, oh, is Richter going to tell them before, you know, Frieren would get to surprise her or whatever? But then I'm like, it's not about it's not about Frieren even doing it or doing it as a surprise or a thing. That's not the relationship here. That's not the reason. And then it happened the way that it did, and that like feeling is reaffirmed by Fern being like, about yesterday. Okay, wait, never mind. You know, it's so, I love their relationship so much, and I love what had been said about what kind of person Frieren was to Fern before she had even gone off and really gotten to know Frieren. And then that's kind of reaffirmed later on in the episode before they'd even met, which was my favorite part of the episode. The knowing that Hamel and Frieren met when Hamel was a boy, and that I don't know why she did it, but maybe it was because of this or that, or she could tell I was feeling this way, but then she created the Field of Flowers, and that was the first spell that I loved. Like, oh my god, man.
Right. I really love hearing about what happened with Himmel first meeting Frieren, and then obviously right before Fern walks up to Richter's shop and hears what's been done to the staff, she's like, I don't think that Frieren understands me. And it's like, then we get to shown like Heiter, and how Heiter was like, yeah, but she's gonna care for you and worry about you more than any master would.
Yeah.
And it's like that at the end of the day, like that's more important. It's like you're not ever going to 100% understand why and how and what's going on in the brain of another person. You're never going to be able to 100% understand them.
Like, what did Stark say?
And that's not what matters.
What, like, Stark said to Fern, it's not important. She tries to understand. Bro, that's like legitimately such a fuck it being a TV show. Like, that's a very genuine real life thing that is lost on too many people, is like just ixnaying somebody because they don't get you immediately and completely ignoring the attempt to understand, when that is the thing that will last longer. That is the thing that shows more care and is vastly more important, you know?
And that's why I also really appreciate the fact that Fern's character didn't have to bring this up and thank Frieren. It really like reminds you that like care and love and kind gestures aren't something that should be thought of as like a transactional thing that has to be, you know, so heavily acknowledged. Like, thank you for understanding me here. It's like, no, you can realize that the person is always going to be trying their best to care for you, and thank them in other ways than just being like, thanks for that time yesterday where you did that. Like, just show them love back and care back.
Frieren didn't do anything different by getting the staff repaired that warranted an extra thank you, because the first attempt that Frieren had at you should just get new staff was within the same intent as getting it fixed, in the sense that it's like, okay, this is what my opinion is. I think that this would make most sense to me, and this is what you should do. There was an issue there. They butted heads, and Frieren, I don't think what's your definition of understanding somebody, right? Is it knowing why they did what they did and realizing that that's the correct way of thinking, or that's how you should be thinking about it? Or is it understanding that it's important to somebody, and that's, leave it at that, and do it because it's important to somebody.
Like you said, there was gonna be a staff regardless.
Yeah.
Frieren was gonna go get a staff for Fern regardless. So what we have here is just Fern realizing that Frieren tried her best to understand what Fern would want between the two staffs and did it right, and that's great. It's a great gift. It's
amazing.
You know?
It's also, what does it do other than give back Fern something that meant a lot to her sentimentally? It literally doubles the sentimentality of that staff to her.
The Field of Flowers, Himmel having met Frieren beforehand, the fact that Himmel specifically wanted Frieren as the mage is beyond cry-worthy to me. I still feel emotional, and I still feel like, you know, I can tell that I was crying during the episode.
For the first time in my life, I thought magic was beautiful.
God, I don't want Himmel to be dead.
But, man, I mean, going right off of that, about Sari being like, I can't believe you're the one who defeated the Demon King, and Frieren saying, I didn't do it alone.
I didn't do it alone.
It wouldn't have been possible if anyone out of the four of us were not there.
Right.
And Sari being like, you were lucky, and
she's like, yeah,
I was. And it doesn't, in my opinion, like, first hearing it, it's not just, oh yeah, you're lucky you found this party and defeated the Demon King. No, you're lucky you found these people and met these people and experienced with these people.
Sayuri and Frieren together is an incredibly interesting interaction to watch, especially with lines where Sayuri's obviously trying to mock Frieren, get a rise, poke at her a little bit. And the mocking does nothing. If anything, Frieren's like, yep, uh-huh. And then when she said, uh-huh, when she found out she failed and she just turned around and walked out, I'm like, Frieren is the best.
Yep. I love Flame's continuation, like just being such a strong through line.
Well, that's one of the beautiful things about this story is that the humans that have already passed on, obviously Flame passed a long time before Himmel entered the story and Heitzer, but the fact that like they are so a part of the story still is so reflective of an authentic view, I would say, of real lived experience in terms of loved ones that have passed on. Like memories might fade, I remember an episode, it was a while ago when we came upon the village and we found the guy and he didn't even remember the face of his wife anymore, but he knew that he should stay there and protect this village, for her, but he couldn't even remember her face. And it's like memories, even though they fade, the sentimentality of it and the importance of that person does not fade.
And because of that, they're able to get jump started, such they did in that episode at the end. Like because of Frieren, he was able to have a dream of his wife again. Mm-hmm. Like that sentimentality being shared amongst other people and other people having a similar way of feeling that way and thinking that way, it's literally contagious.
Mm-hmm. The sharing of things, bringing it back to like everything's shown over and over and over again in different ways, beautifully through different characters, to just remind you that all of these people and creatures, if you will, because elves are being depicted very authentically to real life humans in our world outside of anime. The fact that everyone can have somewhat similar experiences, or ideas or concepts being a part of them, but they're slightly different because they're slightly different people. Like Ubel being able to magically, understand how to use other people's magic by coming to an understanding of that person and listening to them talk and empathizing with them.
My question at the beginning of the video about if I thought like the numbers of people who passed would change if Frieren and Fern weren't there, but Denkin still was.
Yeah.
I was thinking it within like the 1-for-1s of you don't have to deal with Frieren and Fern's copies,
Oh,
like,
dude, I wasn't even thinking about that when you asked the question. I feel like I have to rethink it.
Yeah, but now at this point, I have to reevaluate it because Sari straight up, granted, she wasn't there. She's like, this is unbalanced, unfair, because Frieren's there. Frieren was an anomaly. Because of that, more people passed. Now I have to interject as an anomaly. I wonder if I should be taking the people who did pass, because Sari's intuition's always right, would be the ones who would have actually only passed without Frieren's involvement.
Yeah, because Fern would have still... It wasn't Fern that was an anomaly.
Yeah.
I think Fern would have been able to beat herself, probably, and or someone else teaming up could have probably beat Fern with Fern's help. Methode thought she could beat Fern. There we go.
Yeah. So
Methode thought that she could beat Fern's copy. Boom. Fern fights other people's copies. Ubel obviously had Sensei easy. So yeah, I do...
It's a good question for discussion, but still, I wonder now. It makes me rethink it after what Sari said.
When you brought it up in the beginning of this video, like in the intro, I wasn't thinking that in my mind that meant Frieren's copy wouldn't be there. So I was like, oh, well, all of them would die against Frieren's copy because Fern needed to be given that chance.
Yeah.
In order to take the shot at Frieren.
Yeah. Interesting, right?
Yeah.
All right, that's all I have you.
Yep.
Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and we hope to see you next time.